What's up everyone? I'm Sebastian Quinn, incredibly tired, but if I'm looking better than usual, it's not because I've lost weight, it's because I've actually probably put on a few, maybe a kilo or so. But my new phone actually came about a week early. It was meant to arrive on the 18th, and actually came in yesterday, which was the 13th, so pretty happy with that. Just on my way to uni as always. You can hit me up on Twitter at Seb_Quinn or the Facebook page at Sebastian Quinn Sports News for all the latest updates and whatnot on there. But as you can tell, my morning sickness hasn't quite gone away just yet. And I'm kidding. Still just another one of those. It is the season for my allergies and whatnot to be coming back and hitting pretty hard. So that's what happens when you change from summer to winter, winter to spring, in about 2 months or so, less, 2.5 months, but at this rate. So still adjusting to that at the moment. This hay fever hasn't been too bad, but definitely the congestion and whatnot hasn't been great either. So sorry for no vlog yesterday. We did get the new TV, which is incredibly huge. It's just so, I mean, it fits the room well. Oh jeez, throat is just killing me. So it fits the room pretty well, and while it is on the bigger side, it's definitely not like crazy big. So I mean, I'll take that back as well. It's probably, you could definitely classify it as crazy big. So just heading to uni. Got a presentation this morning on media sport in Asia, and I figured sport in Asia would be fairly interesting, but the reading that I actually ended up doing was quite the opposite. Definitely not interesting at all. So basically the presentation is just a recap on that, plus the two people that I'm with are doing another one of the readings each. So essentially it's just a breakdown of that, and just going over why it's relevant. And we have the most exciting part is the activity part, where we have to get people involved, and that's where I've actually I found a Family Feud template online, filled that in, and then actually we actually have a Family Feud, kind of, it has music and everything, and it's actually really looking quite nice. So yesterday, the big news that came out, this is the one thing I wanted to talk about, was the iPhone 10, or as many people originally called it, such as myself, the iPhone X. So it was definitely a... Which way are you turning, buddy? Jeez. I just wish people would indicate once in a while. Anyway, it's definitely one of the more disappointing announcements from Apple. I mean, they announced the new Apple TV, which apparently shoots at 4K with better HDR, so that's better, obviously, for more modern TVs that are catching up. And then also the new Apple Watch, which can make and take phone calls, so that definitely helps. I mean, it's moving more and more towards like your Get Smart kind of thing. There's also, so the iPhone 7 Plus, which is a bigger version, the 8 and the 8 Plus, which is just upgraded specs, and then the iPhone 10, which completely bezel-less, which is those little black boxes right down the bottom. So you got the screen, then a little bit on the end where the home screen technically is. So no home screen, which is the big change for this one. It was a interesting development considering what Apple's been doing so far. The other big thing was the Face ID. So basically, you unlock the phone with your face. The iPhone puts something like 36,000 bezels, or sorry, 36,000 marking points on your face, and goes from there. And it chooses those points on your face, and then it recognizes you once you look at the phone. And it was quite interesting. Funnily enough, it didn't actually work on the stage. You kind of feel bad for them at that point, but at the same time, it's like, well, you'd hope, some things, Murphy's Law, just, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So, I think it was interesting because the front and the back are both made of glass now. So it's given Apple the opportunity to finally have wireless charging, which Samsung and other Android phones have been doing for 5+ years now. So I posted on Facebook that you know, it's nice to see Apple finally bring in, you know, concepts and, you know, technology that Android phones have been having for 5+ years. So you know, the whole face recognition software has been, I mean, my brother had I think he had the S6. I'm pretty sure he was on there. And yeah, it just amazes me how you know, the lack of innovation that Apple can bring, yet still somehow describe it to be one of the, you know, I think that what they call it, the biggest leap since the original iPhone, which I think is really pushing it if you're looking at innovation and how much they're actually doing on board. And I think, you know, the good thing with the iPhone is I've said in previous videos that, you know, it's so streamlined and so easy to use that almost anyone can pick up and play, and you know, all the apps run completely seamlessly because there isn't the no background processing and all this other stuff, and everything is essentially made for iPhone first and Android second, because, well, Apple's got so much money they can afford to, you know, not so much buy out these smaller developers, but rather just, you know, have them on board like that. So yeah, the iPhone 10, the iPhone X, looking interesting. Has a vertical dual camera system. I mean, I think the dual camera system is going to be the way forward for quite some time now. Give it, I reckon the next 2 or 3 generations of phones will be another. It'll all be dual cameras, and then after that, it might revert back to a single camera setup. The thing is, the dual cameras on the iPhone 10 don't look that great. I mean, you know, the iPhone 7 had fantastic cameras, but more because of the depth of field, and also, you know, the new portrait mode. Everyone was freaking out, and you know, in terms of megapixels and, you know, some others had great processing, but all in all, not a great camera at all. So, you know, when you're comparing it to, especially at the price point at 1200 Australian dollars, like, geez, it's just you know, I can't buy a phone that's worth, you know, like, this thing better take me overseas or something if it's going to be like that. Like, it's just absurd. I'm going to put this down. Hopefully you can, yeah, there we go. So yeah, it just seems absurd that they're going to be charging so much for it. I mean, it's US retailing at $9.99, so still keeping it under the $1,000 mark. But I think BuzzFeed India did a funny article on, you know, things you could buy with the amount of money that you'd buy an iPhone 10 for, and it was like, you know, 36,000 Tim Tams, and actually, no, I think it was probably more than that. Yeah, and you know, some absurd number. You could actually buy a 42-inch TV, an Esky, 2 comfort chairs, and some other, you know, and beer as well. I was like, man. So, you know, not that it really bothers me, but I was just looking at it. I was like, there's just something wrong with people when we're paying this much money for a phone, and yeah, it's just not. So I'm currently sitting in traffic on a main road, and I mean, it kind of got me thinking a few days ago what it'd be like living on a main road. So I've been fortunate enough to just live with my parents for all of my life. So far never, and it's on a nice secluded street. I mean, down the road from a school, you know, near a corner shop, and you know, pretty good location overall. But, you know, a street like this, so we are on, I want to say this is Forest Road, I think. Yeah, so heading towards Sydney Airport. I don't know how many of you people that are watching actually live in Sydney, or how many maybe overseas. I have to check the statistics on that. But anyway, so Forest Road heading towards the airport, and we are at a very slow crawl of about 10 kilometers an hour. So it's been I mean, it's been moving, but just very slowly. So yeah, I've always just wondered what it'd be like to live on a main road, because a place like here especially, you have a clearway in the mornings from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. 10 a.m. excuse me, and then also in the afternoon you've got a clearway between 3 and 7 again. So I mean, most of the time you wouldn't be home for that, except for in the morning, unless you're doing night shifts or something like that. But you'd almost permanently need to leave your car in the driveway. And then the other thing for me was, like, you know, if you're going to be parked in there, imagine how hard it would be trying to get out, because half the time you can't even see the cars coming flying through. So, you know, there's always someone parked in the way, or if there isn't, there's always someone speeding up. So, I mean, if it was up to me, I'd be reverse parking into my driveway all the time. And I mean, just looking at some of the places just on the side here, they do have very deep driveways, which is good, because at least then they can drive into it and then reverse in as well, instead of having to reverse park from the road into there, which would be a lot of stress. You'd put your indicator on and try to turn, and then of course everyone smash their horn at you, and I'm sure that's not a lot of fun when you just want to park your car after a long day at work. So it's pretty interesting. Especially the one thing that always got me was like the cars, like if I'm traveling one direction and my house is on the other side, having to turn right into it and hold up traffic the entire time. Not that I care about holding up traffic that much, but imagine just the other way, the other side of traffic going so constant and just no brakes whatsoever, that you have to sit there for like a solid 5 or 6 minutes. It would be pretty, you'd get pretty frustrated. Like you'd park there and it's like, alright, well, morning routine of not getting out of, not moving from this spot for a while. I guess you put music on, listen to a few songs, but at the same time, it's like, you'd be sitting there for so long. So the same-sex marriage ballots came out yesterday, and I voted yes, very much an advocate for equality, and personally I don't care if a man wants to marry a man, or if anyone wants to marry a woman, or whatever gender wants to marry whatever gender. Really doesn't impact me at all. A lot of people are saying, sanctity of marriage, which I don't really believe in, because there's so many marriages ending in divorce, but also just like the sanctity of marriage is a thing from 2,000 years ago, or however old it may be. It's just ancient now. We need to step up and change and evolve with how society evolves. So really hoping this yes vote gets through and the government actually does something, because the annoying thing with it is that they don't actually have to do anything. They can just use this as a gauge as to what the Australian people want. And for the most part I would hope that Australia would be voting yes on this kind of issue, but I do know some people that would be voting no, because they're very against other people having the same rights, and see homosexuals and all the LGBTQ plus, all that group as being just weird and fucked up. And excuse me. So I do know a few people that are that will be voting no, and it makes you wonder why exactly. There's a few people who are just against same-sex marriage in general, which isn't fun. I believe that everyone deserves some kind of equality, and I think marriage is essentially the first step for it. And hopefully, it doesn't impact me at all. I don't think my parents really care that much. I'm sure they'll be voting yes anyway. They better be. So I really hope this goes through. But like I was saying, the government doesn't necessarily have to do anything. Essentially, it was just another overpriced plebiscite. So basically, no matter what the outcome is, the yes vote could get 80%. The government still wouldn't have to do anything. The no vote could get 90%, and the government wouldn't have to. Well, at that point, they still wouldn't have to do anything. But you get what I mean. Essentially, what I'm saying is, this is just a glorified election with no result. So, what I'm scared of is that the no vote wins, and then the government all of a sudden seems justified. Basically, it's a win-win situation for the government, because if the no vote goes through, they said, well, we weren't pro same-sex marriage anyway, so the Australian people have spoken, and we can put the issue to bed. Whereas if the yes vote goes through, they'll be like, all right, well, we'll start looking at it, and this sort of thing will spend almost eternity in legislation and won't go through for another 20 years. So they're constantly all this spin artists, and I think politicians are as much into PR as they are politics. So really hoping this goes through. I think there's 54 days left to vote. What's today? Today is the 14th. So not long, but less than 2 months. Hopefully it gets sorted out, and it'd be good to see, because I do have a few friends who are gay and into the same sex, and it doesn't bother me. They're good people, and they're good people. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Hopefully this video isn't too long. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. Last few videos have been doing pretty well actually, so if you have any suggestions for what I should talk about, leave it in the comment below. Hit me up on Twitter at Seb_Quinn and also Facebook at Sebastian Quinn Sports News. Thanks everyone for watching. See you all tomorrow.